And last session we have discussed about VPN technologies, right? So let me design one topology here and we'll start our scenario using some few routers. One, for example, for that. Now let me consider four branches. In general, four branches are connected to different locations. One, two, three. I'm designing here only in the same LAN. And user devices. User one, user two, three, number of users. Connectivity. The same topology designing here. Diagram R1, R2, R3 and R4. Four routers. Let's give the name for all routers. Say R1 router, R2, R3. Let's consider it as a R100, R200, something 200. So someone office name is a ABC. For this office, total have a 200 branches are available overall India wide or worldwide. Some hotmail. But how many branches, guys? 200 branches and 200 routers. Right. Now R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, like all 200 devices are connected, interconnected. Laser line connection, VPN connection, like whatever the technologies we have in the modern technologies, the WAN technologies, they're connected. And routing protocols are enabled. And communication is enabled. Let me enable communication. As our discussion, so these all devices are connected to one switch. So first R1 router IP address 192.168.1.1. Second router 192.168.1.2, 192.168.1.3, 192.168.1.4. So actually in different networks, but my example is I'm making the same network. So user 1 is connected here, user 2, user 3, number of users are connected. Let me configure first router. Configuration mode, host name R1. First router host name is what, guys? R1. It's very important scenario. Each and every point you try to focus on it. Host name is what? R1. Interface path Ethernet IP address for R1 192.168.1.1 and net mask no shutdown exit Okay. I'll save the configuration. And to enable communication for R1 or to log into R1 router to enable telnet, we need to create line VTY024 sessions 5 total 5. So password is Zoom login password is being activated. Enable password also have configured. Back to previous mode and save the configuration. So first computer IP address have assigned the 192.168.1.10. Okay. Now generally to maintain Office ABC network, total how many branches? 200 branches. To maintain this, so the organization management is being appointed some network engineers, the different levels. A network team is a initially first team is what? NOC, NOC team. Let's say consider a NOC team is a 20 member. L1 engineers. NL1 network L1 team. So total NL1 team are 25 members. N L2 network L2 team say 15. So these numbers are just my examples only, but if you go for real time, you can get more numbers also. Now in L3 team is a 10 members, for example. Now in R1 router we have created line VTY024 means total how many logins? 5 logins. Means 5 users only at the same time can log into R1 router. But here 25 members are N1, LN1, L2 are 15, like number of users. 25, 50 users. So what I need to create? Line VTY 0 to 49. 0 to 49. Okay, 0 to 49 is being configured. Now all 50 users same time can log in, right? Let me try to log in to router. The first user is trying to log in. Which one? Network L1 engineer, employee 1 is login to router 1. So which service? Either you can use telnet, either you can use what? SSH. Example, telnet 192.168.1.1 from first computer. Telnet 192.168.1.1. So what is asking is what this? It's asking password, right? Okay, password is the password. Password is 2. Let me enter password. Enable password 2. Now I log in. So which person has been logged in now? Which user has been logged in? In our example, L1 team first employee is login, right? So device is R1, but which user is login? In network L1 team first employee. Okay. Second employee is trying to log into router 1, same router 1.1. What is the password for second employee? Password is what? 2. For all 25 members in L1 team, password is what? Same. For L2 level employees, for 15 employees, 15 users, what is the password? Same. Even L3 employees also, password is what? Like 0 to 49, all 50 sessions, password is a Zoom. Then how we can consider, how we can differentiate which employee is being logged into router? L1 employee is being logged in, or L2 engineer is logged in, or L3 engineer is logged in. Who is logged in? Like how we can come to know it? So if we create line VTY passwords like VTY 0 to 49 or 0 to 499 for all 500 sessions, same passwords. Of this, the real time, what we'll do, we used to create for each employee one username as well as what? Password. Okay. Let me show you how to create it. In first router, configuration mode, username space, username space, user1, password, PWD123. Next, user2, password is 1234. Next, user3, password is 12345. Like I have created some 3 users, right? So for each and every user, they have a username and password. Now let me try with once again telnet now to router from end user device. Exit from here. Try to relog in telnet 1.1. It is asking what? Password. So actually we have created username and password, but still is asking only the password. Why? So why? Because we have created usernames and password, but username and passwords are not activated. We just created only. Let me activate the username. So username space, username, password space, password is a command for only for creation of usernames, but is not activated. That's how to activate line VTY 0 to 4 or 0 to 49, like how many stations are supporting. Example 0 to 4, login local. Login for password activation, login local is a command for username and password. Both are activated now. Now if we try to log into router once again now, 1.1 is asking what, guys? Username. Now which users can able to log in now? User 1 can log in, user 2 can log in, and user 3 can log in, right? No, not anyone. We have created username only for user 1, user 2, user 3. 3 users only can be log in. So username, I am trying to enter my username Balu and password is something Zoom. Can I log in? It's not possible. So database we have created only for what? Username is user 1, user 2, user 3, right? So let me check with user 1. Password is PWD123. Now log in. Not only user 1, which user can log in? User 2, password PWD1234. Login. Now user 3 also can be logged in, right? So like this, in the real time, we used to create username and passwords. So now you tell me, guys, for our networking team, total how many employees are available here? So to manage your entire 200 branches, network engineers are what? 25, 15 plus 10. Total how many users? Example, how many engineers? 50. So we have to create 50 users name and 50 passwords, right? So 50 is only my just normal example, but in the real time, how many users are available? Number of users, right? Okay. So now all 50 users names and passwords are created in R1 router. Now based upon the username and password, they can be logged in. So I have created 50 usernames on R1 router. Now L1 team can able to log in which router, guys? Now L1 team can log in only R1 router. Now L2 router, L2 engineers can log in only R1 router. Even L3 house can log in only R1 router. Why? Because database information is being updated, is being configured in which router? R1 only. Then how this all the employees can log into R2 router? Yes. Like how 50 users can able to log into R2 router? Hello. Create users in server. So actually, all 50 usernames and passwords we need to create in R2 router also, right? So now if we create usernames and password in R2 router, now all employees can log in which router, guys? Now they can able to log in R1 as well as what? R2 router. Okay. Now what about R3? To log in R3, create 50 usernames and passwords. But in my office ABC, total how many routers are available, guys? Like all 200 routers, we need to create 50 usernames. 50 is only my example. Now you can understand the real time your examples, right? Of usernames, of routers. Even 200 is also might be just example only. So there are number of routers and number of usernames are there, right? Okay. We have spent it some time, like a 1 month or 2 months, some time we have spent it, and we have created all 50 usernames and passwords in 200 routers. Configured and configuration is being saved. Now all 50 employees can log into any one router, right? 200 routers they can able to log in. Like after some time, from my office ABC, user 2 has been resigned for job. So he went to another company. And what will you do, guys? So he already work in a ABC, right? He has a username is there. Username and passwords are already created. Like after resigning the job, so they can log into our organization, right? From the home or from other company. It's not secured. So once resign, then what will you do? Remove user ID, username, user2 and password in which router? In R1 router only or all 200 routers? In all 200 routers, we need to remove command here to apply no user2 and password, no user2 and password in 200 times in 200 routers. Okay, we have removed user2 in 200 routers. And after some time, in user2 place, one user is being joined, say a name called Rakesh. One of the employee Rakesh is being joined newly. He is going under 2 months training period. After 2 months training is being done. Now they have to log into router 1, router 2, router 3. So he's also a part of our network team now. Then what we need to do? Now create Rakesh username and password in how many routers, guys? Like all 200 routers. So this is a problem with local database information, local database authentication. So this is a problem actually. There is no flexibility, number of routers, number of times you need to adding, removing, creation, number of routers, right? So this is the problem with a local database authentication method. What we do in the real time is generally we don't configure usernames and passwords in router. Didn't configure it, right? So let me remove username and password here. No username 2, no user 3, No user. Now if you try to tell name, telnet has been disabled, right? Line VTY, login, local command you have to remove. Locking the no usernames, right? You have removed usernames. So let me continue with the remaining routers configuration. Just we create a username and password. That's it. Username, host name, nothing more than host name and IP address. Host name R1, R1. Interface FA 0/0. IP address 1.1. No shutdown. Second router, host name R2, IP address 1.2, host name R3, 1.3. Right. The three routers we just configured IP address and host name. That's it, right? Okay. So now what is the problem with the local database authentication? This is the problem. So in the real time, what we'll do means instead of configure username and passwords in router, we'll take one server. So I have configured, I have installed in one server in my LAN. So this all employee details, username and passwords, we are not creating in routers, we are creating one server. Example, in server, I created some usernames. So username is a Ramesh. Password is a username and password. Password is RAM. Username and password. Username and password. Username is a Ramesh and password is RAM123. Suresh SUR123. Mahesh MAH123, something like that. Okay. Rajesh RAJ123. A few examples. So it's all employees are my 50 users names. Total 50 username and 50 passwords I created. In where? In server. This is all information. Database I am not creating the router right now. Please consider Ramesh is a L1 team. Even Suresh also in L1 employee. Mahesh is a L2 engineer and Rajesh is L3. Like this. Now how to users can be logged in? Let me check clearly. It's very important guys now. Now Ramesh is trying to log into router 1. What is the router 1 IP address? 1.1. From any one device, Ramesh used to telnet 192.168.1.1. So what router will do is a the request to go for a which R1 router. What R1 is doing is providing username is a Ramesh and password is RAM123. What route is doing is so user wait, I don't have the database information, so I'm sending the request to my server. So generally user can log into router, but router don't have the database information, right? Then what router will do? Router will send information to server. And what server is doing is, so server is going to do what? Authentication method. So server will check the database information. Okay, wait, let me check my database. So here we don't have any database information. Okay, now user is logging with the which ID? Ramesh. And password is what? Ram. Yeah, I have a database information available. He is a authorized user. Okay, router 1, you can give the access now to R1, Ramesh. I repeat once again. Now from this computer, Ramesh is doing the telnet to R1 router. Generally any one router by using service called telnet or SSH. Example telnet was IP address of R1 1.1. Is asking the username. He'll ask the password. Username is Ramesh. Password is Ram123. So what router is doing is, so wait, I don't have the database information inside my router. What router is doing is, will send the information request to server. So what server will do? Will check the database list. Here, Ramesh username. Okay, you are entering Ramesh. Matching. Good. What is the password? RAM123. Okay, password is also matching. Right. Now we'll inform to R1. R1 router is the authorized person. You can allow to log into router. Now R1 is being logged in. So this process we call authentication. Authentication is a method of identifying the users. Okay, now after login to router, R1 router, Ramesh has been logged in. So after login to router, what Ramesh is doing is, so maybe Ramesh is going to change the IP address, or maybe Ramesh is going to change password. So maybe he is going to remove the protocol. He's telling is that after login to router, what Ramesh is doing is no RIP. Something is going to remove the configuration. So what R1 is doing is directly will not accept that. Wait, user. I'll send a request to my server. So what server is doing is, now server is going to implement one more method, which is authorization. So what is authorization? Authorization is a method of what a user can do. What level of permission has been implemented. So actually, which employee has been logged in here? L1 engineer, right? So L1 engineer, only very few privileges only. You can log in and you can check the routing table information only. But L1 employees don't have a privileges to change the protocol, to remove the protocol, to remove the passwords. But Ramesh is doing that. But what router will do? Will not accept that. Will send the request to the server. Server is going to implement it authentication method. So server gives a reply. Router don't allow to remove RIP for Ramesh user. They don't have privileges. Why? Because Ramesh is a L1. Okay, he is not able to remove RIP. Then what Ramesh is doing is he use some show commands. Show IP root, some show version, show running configuration. So after login to Ramesh, what commands are being executed? He tried to remove RIP. He is going for show IP root command, show running command. Like after login to router, what are the commands that are being executed by the user? This all the information is being recording on your server. So that method we call accounting. Authentication, authorization, accounting. So this server we call AAA server. AAA. What's the first A, guys? Authentication. So authentication is a method of identifying the users, which user, which username, and which password has been configured. Second A is what? Authorization. So authorization means what a user can do, what level of permissions are being configured for the so-and-so user. Accounting means all the information is collecting, what commands are being executed. All the information has been collecting and recording the server. This is accounting. So this server is a AAA authentication, authorization, and accounting. Income. Yeah, Pradeep, like 200 branches, 200 interfaces, not like that. It's 200 routers is there. Each branch, each router, each interface. We can't say exactly all 200 routers are connected to one branch. No need. Head office side only required to 100, 100. So generally, the topology is not like this. This is my only basic example. R1 to serial, R2 serial, R3 serial, like this is each router, each interface is on. Okay. Virtual interface is not required. Physical interface. Right. Here, let me explain on a small example. What is a AAA server? How it is going to working? Understand easily. So first one is what? Right? Authentication, authorization, account. So this is my credit card. So by using this, I'm going to access my bank, right? So that bank, how they can identify this user? Is it authorized or not? So how exactly like bank can identify? So this card is a valid card or authorized card. No identification based upon what identification? User name and card number. The card number. So based upon this card number and name, like understand, like name, right? So means is a first A. A is what? Authentication is a method of identifying users. So generally for the banks based upon the card number and name identifying the users, right? Okay. Now next A is what? Authorization means. So by using these cards, what is the card limit like per day? Like how much money can transfer, how much money we can withdraw, like per day limits. So by using this card, I can withdraw like a lakh rupees or 1,000 rupees a day. Like what is the level permission? Like I can use this card in a national wise or international wise. What is the permissions is being on this card? So this is a method of authorization. Authorization is a method of identifying what a user can do, right? So next, accounting. So by using this card, when the card is being started, so on which area, which amount, at what time, on what date, how much cash is being withdrawn, how much cash is being deposited, like all the information is being recording on the account of this number, right? So this is a method also. Similarly, in our real time network team can log into routers based upon what? AAA server. But till now, what we have understand, Okay, we'll go to office and they'll provide some usernames and we'll log into router, right? No, in real time we don't directly log into router. You're login via replay server. Like any one employee can log into any one router, but the backend, you are going to authentication method, you are undergoing for authorization method, your transactions are, your logins are being accounting. So don't think guys, many IT companies, we just simply log in once and we just log out once. What happened? No one is monitoring me. No one is watching me. I can log into router. I can practice my labs over there in the company routers. No, no, no. Everything is going to recording in your replay server. So clearly explain, like after login to Ramesh, what he tried to do? He's trying to do what? No RIP. He's trying to remove RIP protocol, and he executed by some show commands. Is all the information we are going for what? And are going for accounting. From which computer? Let's say this is your machine. Your machine IP address is 192.168.1.123. So from this computer, so and user, and date, and time, he log into R2. After login that, so for this user is being implemented by no IP route command, no RIP command, show commands, is all those things information is being recording. In last class, we have discussed one banner message. Do you remember it? Banner, MOTD. Your banner should be always what? Warning message. What is the warning message? All connections are being monitored and recorded. So disconnect immediately if you are not an authorized user, right? How your sessions have been monitored? Like how sessions is been recording based upon the replace. But now the thing is, next example is when another user is trying to log in here. Which one? L3 engineer. So who is L3 engineer? Rajesh. Telnet 192.168.1.1 is asking username. Username he entered Rajesh. He is asking password. So password is entered RAJ123. Now directly you can log into R1 router. No, what R1 will do? Wait, I'll send the request to AAA. What replay server will do? First method, authentication. We check the database. Username, okay, right. Password, okay, right. Yeah, you're authorized user. You send the request to R1 router. R1, the user is been permitted, you can log in it. You can access it. Now, Raj has been logged into R1 user mode, R1 privilege mode. Now, what Rajesh is doing is trying to do no RIP. It's trying to remove some configuration. Now, what R1 will do? Will directly execute that command? No, no, no. Wait, I will send the request to replace server. So what replace server will do is going to method of authorization. What a user can do, like which user login is now. So the user is a Rajesh is login. Now Rajesh is a which level of permission is being given? L3, like full control of the router. So what replace server is doing is, yes, R1 router, you can accept that command because now which user has been login? L3 employee has been login. He can access it. You can execute this command. Now your RIP has been removed. Like now, some other person, unknown users are trying to log into router one, like attackers are logging. Telnet 192.168.1.1 is asking the username. So I have entered username is a Zoom, and I have trying with the password. Password is 1234. What R1 will do? Wait, user. I send the request to replace server. What replace server will do? You go for authentication. Authentication means what? We check the database. So what is the username? Username is Zoom. Password is 123. So do you have the database information here? No. What server will do? Will send information to R1. R1. So it is a unauthorized user. You don't allow, you don't accept. So we have security is there. Yeah. Okay. So security from outside user, security for internal user also. So Ramesh can able to remove the configuration. No, we set the configuration. We set the level permission L1. You are permitted only for what? L1. This server is a AAA. So how AAA server? What are the advantages means? Now we are not configured 200 usernames in 250 usernames in 200 routers, right? 200 times. In only one centralized location have configured. Like after some time, if Mahesh is being designed, like we can remove Mahesh username in only one time, in only in AAA server. Like in Mahesh place, some Suresh some Rakesh is being joined, and you can add only in one server, right? So flexibility is very simple. More flexibility easily can implement. So this is how in the real time we used to access routers via centralized authentication methods. This AAA server increase the flexibility and control of access configuration available in multiple backup systems. So we have standardized authentication methods for AAA is radius, secors, controls. Actually, we have some free protocols manage the AAA server. The protocols are Redis and Theta. Terminal access control, remote access, dial-in users. So what is the difference is TechX is a Cisco protocol, Redis is open source. Open standard is what? Redis is supported by multiple vendors. Tekax is a Cisco protocol. So here clearly showing here, Tekax uses yes, Nikhil. Hello, can you hear me, guys? My voice is clear. Hello. Right? Can you hear me, Nikhil? Okay, let me check from my side. Reason. Okay. Now it's clear, right? So Tekax, Tekax uses TCP as a transport layer, right? And Radius uses what? UDP as transport. So we already clearly discussed difference between TCP and UDP. So TCP what will do? Three-way handshake process, acknowledgement. UDP fast communication. So TECAS, if you use the TECAS method for AAA, it's encrypt entire the communication. What are the communication from user and AAA server? The complete communication is being encrypted. See now, I have configured this server as a TECAS server. So what TECAS server will do? So TECAS is going to entire communication is being encrypted means now if we use a SSH method or telnet method from R1 router to AAA server, complete communication is been what? Encrypted format. But radius. If we say radius, what radius will do? Encrypt passwords only. What are the passwords in router? Like all passwords are being encrypted. Only passwords are encrypted. So the text treats authentication, authorization, and accountability is in a differently. Authentication method is different, authorization method is different, and accountability is different. But what Redis will do combines the authentication and authorization. So both one method. Let's see the configuration is the method, is the compression command. So this configuration, initially we need to configure in all 200 routers. Only once. So why? Why means I am telling to router. Router, if any user is been trying to log in, send the request to my server. How router will come to know I have to send the request to this server? This is the configuration. If you don't configure this, if you try to log into router, if database is there, you give access. If there is no database, no access. But now what we are telling is to router, if any employee is been trying to log into your router, you don't have database, right? So simply send the information to my server. So server is going to implement the three ways: authentication, authorization, and accounting, and will give the request. So to that, we need to configure these commands in all routers. Yes, sure. In the last session, we'll try to discuss about this interview point of questions. preparing some, already informed you, right? I'm preparing some notes. I'll share through all the PDF files to all of you. Last session will be. Right. Let me configure this in this configuration in all routers. So first in R1 router. Was the command AAA new model, second line, checkout, authentication, the server host, right? What is the host? Host IP address. First, let me take a host IP address. Host IP address means we are not configuring the database information in routers. Then where we need to configure all the usernames. Let me take one server. Huh? Network. Which service is required, guys? Here, replace service. Services or number of services. Replace server by default is off. You click on button. Let me assign one IP address to server. Server IP address is 192.168.1.123 is my server IP. Okay. So AAA new model. Check out server host. What is the server IP address? 192.168.1.123 and check out server key. Secret key means we are one key is been generating. Why? What's the use of key? Know what happened exactly in the real time. For the purpose means keys. Let's say there is one more AAA server. There is also one more AAA server. So this AAA server is a hacker server. So this is my organization. Office ABC server. AAA server. Two AAA servers. In Office ABC AAA server, we have the employees' names and employee permissions and everything, username and password. So what hacker is doing is, hacker itself is creating hacker username and hacker passwords are created. The same IP address and he connected to our network. Now any one employee or hacker is trying to log in to R1 router. Now what R1 will do? Wait, I will send the request to my AAA server. So now what R1 doing is, now R1 will send the request to which AAA server? So here we have a two AAA servers is there. One is created by hacker, one is created by actual server. Now what router will do? Will send the request to hacker or will send the request to ABC? So how router will come to know? So which is a authorized server, which is a hacker server? How R1 will come to know that? If there is no secret key, what R1 do? Maybe there is a chance instead of sending the request to ABC AAA server, so there is a chance to send the request to a hacker server. Then what hacker is doing is, the hacker username is a hacker. They have given L3 permissions in AAA server. So what AAA server will tell? R1 router, okay, hacker give the L3 permission. Then what they will do? Erase the information or create some new protocol, whatever they need. This is the problem. Then how to prevention that? So between your actual ABC AAA server in R1 router, we need a secret key has to maintain. In AAA server for R1 key, secret key is a S123 is a secret key. In R1 I have created S123 is a secret key. Now R1 request is coming from keys what? 123. In database information, the key is matching. Is sending the request to the same request to AAA hacker server also, but hacker AAA server don't know what is the secret key, right? So what R1 is doing is you're unauthorized, this is authorized. Even for R2 router, like a R234 is key. I'm telling to AAA server database. R2 router secret key is a R234. A key is matching. You can get the information. Yeah. So this is the key. We can generate any key. This is the key method, right? AAA authentication, login default group, the TechX or Radius. TechX for Cisco, Radius for Open Standard. Let me do configuration part now. In R1, yeah, every router one key. AAA new model, TechX server, host. What is the host IP address? I mean server IP address 192.168.1.123. Next line. Key how to generate. TechX server key is Zoom 1. For R1 router key. R1 key is what guys? Zoom 1. Okay. Now implementation. AAA authentication login default group, right? TechX local. Been implemented. Same configuration for all three routers. In second router, AAA new model TechX server host. Host IP address is 1.123 and TechX server key. For R2 router, key is Zoom 2 and AAA implementation. R2 is also configured. Now R3 router. R3 AAA new model TechX server host 192.168.1.123. Let me generate the key for R3 Zoom 3. Key is the command, then a key is Zoom 3. Implementing AAA server is the name. Okay, in all three routers, AAA has been configured. Server configuration now. We go to server, services, AAA server. Here, client name, client IP address, secret key, and server type. So if you see the first one, network configuration, the second one is a user setup. So first let me configure network configuration. In network configuration, client name. So client name is all routers are client name. Router host name is a client name. In my network have a 200 routers and 200 clients. So client name is what? Router host name. First router host name is what? R1. Second router host name is R2. Second third router host name is what? R3. So first client name is a R1, capital letter R1. First router client IP address. What is the R1 IP address? 192.168.1.1. And what's the secret key for R1 router? What was the key, guys? For R1 router key? 1. Which server we have configured? We have configured radius or TechUps? Enable TechUps. Right. On the right side, we have the options called added. One client is being added. Now second client. R2. R2. IP address 192.168.1.2. What was the key for R2 routers? Secret key? Zoom 2 is the key, right? Okay. Server type is a TechUps. Add the second one. And third client. Host name is R3. Client IP address 192.168.1.3. Key is Zoom 3. Server type is TechUps. Add it. So like this, generally we used to adding all 200 routers. R1, IP address, server type, and key. All 200 routers are you need to configure at once. Right? Now user setup, like all usernames, which employee names. Example, Ramesh, Suresh, Rajesh, something, right? Ramesh, Ram 1 2 add it. User 2, Suresh, SAR 1 2 3. Okay, like our employee's name, Ankita, password ANK123. Add it. Username Nagashiva, password NAG123. Like Pradeep, PRA123. Something like we need to add. So when you're practicing the Cisco packet tracer software, we don't have one option called setting the level permissions. We just created username and password, right? But if you see in the real, like your application, which is TechUp application, if you install the TechUp application while you're creating username and passwords, so TechUp is going to ask first username Ramesh, what level permissions is being permitted. Is going to ask the question. If you give L1, no L1 permissions are implemented. If you give L2, L3, L15, like highest level is level 15, means full control of the router. But in the packet tracer software, we don't have that option. But your real-time applications will set the privileges also, level permission also we can be configured. Okay. So now which employer can log into R1, R2, R3? Now only 5 users can log in, right? Which users? Ramesh can able to log in, Suresh, Ankita, and Nagasivan, Pradeep Kanwadi can log into 3 routers, right? Let me check that. From first computer, this router can able to log in now. All 3 routers, any router we can log in. Telnet 192.168.1.3. Router 3 I'm trying to log in. So which user can log in now? All 5 users. Pradeep is trying to log in. Password PRA123. you can able to log in. Enable password is not configured in R3 router. To configure enable password, then you can able to log in. Right? Even in 1.1, 1.2 also you can able to log in. Ramesh. So now this logins are going first. First one is a authentication, authorization, and account. So like this, we can real time can use replace. Is clear, guys? Any doubts regarding this replay? I added one new router here. We configure some configuration. Host name India. Interface pass Ethernet IP address 10.1 or shut down. Line BTY024. Password. This is some password and password is being enabled. Configuration mode. Enable password. Okay. So next topic is now, guys. Let me ask you some scenario here. Generally, what are the ways to log into router? How many ways are there to log into router? Putty, SSH, okay, telnet. So just now we have configured one router, right? What is the router name? India router. And what is the IP address of India router? Fast Ethernet we have configured 10.0.0.1. Now, as a user, how we can log into this router? The first thing is a via console port we can log in. Connect a console cable to router console port and use some putty software, a hyperterminal, minicom, some application. So first method is a via console access. Fine. If you don't have a console access, then what we'll do as a users we can log in what? Either you can use telnet or either you can use what? SSH. Both are remote login, virtual logins. Two ways. One is console access and one more is a virtual access. Physical access and virtual access. Okay, guys. Now let me try to log in India router with the two ways. The first method is let me connect the console cable here. So this is the router, right? So this router I want to log in. Let me connect a console cable to my computer. On computer and terminal. Okay. Right. Let me give enter here. Enter is asking what, guys, here? User access verification is asking what? Password. So my router is asking the password means is my router is router console port is secured or not? Right. Secure. Okay. Let me enter the password. Generally, what could be the password of this router? And the password. Zoom. Not accepting it. Cisco 123. Oh, okay. Cisco at the rate 123. Not accepting it. Okay, we'll try the 1234. Okay. Cisco at the rate 1234. No, not accepting. Fine. So let's just think about it. We don't know password. Right? So console password is not able to access. But we have one more possibility, right? Telnet. So at present console password we don't know. Let me do with the telnet. Another option is telnet. From computer, exit, n.1, right? And then you have to change the IP address also. Okay. Now telnet 10.0.0.1 is asking password. So at least try to guess the telnet password. Telnet password is Zoom. No. Cisco. No. Cisco. Telnet. Cisco at the rate 123. That's it. So what I'm telling is now, so I don't know console passwords. I'm not able to log in via telnet also. Is a situation present. The same situations if you face in the your real time, your organization. In a company, it's the same situation. If you try to face, then what will do? As a user, if you're not able to log into router via telnet, then what we'll do? We'll send a mail for your superiors. Why? So I'm not able to log in with my some passwords. Okay, that's in the mail for your senior engineer. They will do something, right? But even if senior engineers are not able to log in, then what they can do? Actually, in the real time, it won't happen. We don't forget the passwords. So what was the situation exactly we face in the real time mail? Example, I used to work in a Zoom Technologies, senior network engineer, senior administrator, Hyderabad, Amirpet branch. So entire Amirpet branch network I used to maintain. Like in Amirpet branch, how many routers are available, how many switches are available, like all the routers and switches are being configured and maintained by me and my team. So Amirpet device or something is been wrong, I can delete. I can easily handle it, right? I know passwords, all the routers passwords have the information because I am the network administrator for this branch. The thing is, some routers is came from, some devices came from Banjara Hills office, some different office, some device came to here. Then how I can come to know Banjara's office devices type passwords? So I am a network administrator for Amirpet, right? Like the device came from another branch offices. So another branch office network administrator has been assigned some password in the long back. Then how I can come to know it? So these situations, how we can work in on routers, how we can access our router. If router device, you have a device is there, the device already passwords are configured. We are trying some random passwords, not accepting it. Then how we can? Or in Amirpet branch itself, like in the storeroom, like older routers in the years ago, we have some devices available. The devices our previous network administrator has been configured some passwords that I don't know passwords about the devices. Then how we can access it now? So for these situations, we have to discuss one very small topic called what is that? Password recovery. Yes, we can recover the passwords. So generally for your home routers, even if you see the D-Link router, the D-Link router backside we have one reset button is there, right? So just long press it, then all configuration has been reset. Default passwords will be there. Passwords are what? Admin. Password is password or empty password like this. This is option for home-based routers, but Cisco routers we don't have that option. No reset button. Then how we can recover? We can recover the Cisco router passwords. You know how? So how to recover the password means based upon the two commands. The commands are config 0x2142. That's it. Two commands. Config 0x2142 and reset. If you execute these commands, then your passwords are being recovered. Now you can come to know actually what is your passwords in the router. But what is this number? What is the configuration? What is Roman mode? So to all the details, we'll clearly discuss it now. So to understand the password recovery concept, so first we have to discuss what is the boot sequence, what is the boot process of router. Boot process. So this is a router which we don't know password. India router, we don't know password. So what is the boot process of router generally? Router boot sequence is the first one is post. Power on, self test, ROM. flash, NVRAM, RAM. This is the process. Boot sequence. First, host, ROM, flash, NVRAM, and you can able to access the router. First method is what, guys? Host means power on self-test. So once you will switch on your router, power on. Once switch on your power on the router, it's going to power on self-test. Is going to check the all hardware parts. All hardware components are working properly or not. Is going to check up. This is the first action. Second one is what? ROM. So what information inside the ROM? So ROM means has a boot program information. So we have the boot instructions. So this program is going to find out where is going to searching the iOS file where the present. So generally ROM has a program that is a BIOS for we call it in the computers. In routers we call it is a bootstrap program. What bootstrap program is do? What exactly bootstrap program will do? Is the responsibility of searching iOS file. So in general, where iOS file present in router have a separate external memory is what? iOS. Flash memory, iOS files will be present. So ROM is a search for operating system where iOS files are present. So ROM is a responsibility of searching iOS file present. Flash memory is what? iOS file. Now what about the files about in NVRAM? Here all permanent configurations will present in where? NVRAM. Is your IP of the router, router passwords, and routing protocols. Complete router configuration permanently will store in where? RAM. Temporary storage, running configuration. This is a sequence. Like how my router will come to know this is order. This is a sequence. Sequence is what? Post to ROM, ROM to flash, flash to NVRAM, NVRAM to RAM. This is a sequence. Like how generally device will come to know. So this is a sequence. So boot sequence is based upon configuration register value. For every routers, for every device, we have some configuration register value. That is, default register value is 0x2102. So based on this configuration value, device can understand, okay, boot sequence is, this is the boot sequence. Every router default is that. Let me check for any other routers. I'll log into router and we do the show version command. The last line configuration register is 0x2102. Is a default. It's a default for all type of routers, means Cisco routers. For fixed routers, modular routers, network edge router, ISP router, branch router, 2600, 2800, like all Cisco routers, default configuration register value is 0x2102. This 02 means what is the boot sequence? 02 boot sequence is post, ROM, flash, and VRAM. What post will do? Will check the power supply and all the hardware. And what ROM will do? Searching iOS. It can be found from a flash memory. What NVRAM will do? Like all permanent configuration files will be stored in here. When NVRAM will come in the picture, route is going to ask the passwords. Why? Because your all passwords will be stored in RAM. But we don't know passwords now, right? Then what we need to do? What you're doing is, I'm telling to router, boot sequence, once you power on, go to post, ROM, flash, post, ROM, flash, skip it. Skip, don't go with NVRAM. Why? Because I don't know password. So skip NVRAM and go to running configuration. So once you will skip the NVRAM in the boot sequence, now device will not ask the passwords. Without passwords, we can log into the router. And then you can create the passwords, new passwords. Or already passwords are created, we can see that. This is the method. So how can do the password recovery means only one logic in router boot sequence. Generally boot sequence is what? Boot sequence is a post of ROM flash NVRAM will come in the picture. If NVRAM will come in the picture means router will ask the what? Password. We don't know password. Then what we need to do? So we have to configure to router. So the post ROM flash, skip the NVRAM and go to RAM. So it's going to skip NVRAM. If NVRAM is being skipped in boot sequence, will not ask the passwords. Now directly can log into router and then you can create new passwords. Either if already passwords, what passwords are being configured, we can able to see also. This is the method. But the point is here, how to skip it? Like how to skip NVRAM? So to skip NVRAM, we have to change register value as skip NVRAM in full sequence, change register value as 0x2142. 0x2102 is a default register value. So 02 sequence is a post ROM flash NVRAM and RAM. But 42 sequence is post ROM flash skip NVRAM and RAM. This is the method. So for all routers, default is this. If you don't know passwords, change this register value. How to change register value? These are the commands. Roman mode, config, 0x2142, reset back. You can see the steps, password recovery steps. Connect console cable from router console port to PC COM port. Very important point is password recovery we can do in only via what? Console port. Means user who are going to do the recovery, that user computer and console port should be connected. Then only we can do the password recovery. But somewhere you are sitting in somewhere in the internet and connect to router, we can't do it. So password recovery can only possible via what? Console cable connected to router via console port. Step 2. Open the software, emulation software, and restart the router. This is also mandatory. Your router physically, your power switch off and on. Restart it. Like after restarting, then press Control break keystroke on your keyboard. In your keyboard, we have the break key, pause break key. Have you seen that? If you check your keyboards, your computer keyboards, you can see pause break, a break key. Control, hold the control and press the break. Then you can get into which mode? Roman mode. Like after Roman mode, okay, you can copy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. So we can't reset the password without restart. We have to restart it. Let me show you the in the packet tracer. So this router is the power on and off button, right? Power off, power on, the serial line, password. Control password, or can use control C also. Now config 0x2142 is asking the dialog, right? Continue with configuration dialog, not required. Enable. You have login browser without password. Didn't know any password, but still I have login with the privilege mode, right? Like this. Now, if we use a show running config, where is your host name? Where is your IP address? What is the passwords? Your all configuration is being erased. Yes or no? So instead of show running configuration, let's use show startup hyphen com. Host name is India. Hello. What is enable password? Enable password is I configured what just before I configured COVID-19. Your passwords, IP address, you can be able to see console for password. Webcast at 1234. VTY password is Z12345. Like we can record the password. Okay, guys. Is the configuration. Any doubts? All right. So that's for today. So long back in the switching classes, I had given some tasks, right? Like router, VLANs, VLAN trunking, in different switches. Have we done that? No problem. And next session will continue with on Monday or Saturday. 27, 28, 26 for now. I'm preparing some questions and we'll discuss in the last week all about what type of interview questions and video information I'll share. Clear, guys? Thank you. Have any doubts? You can ask me now. Yeah, Sunil, any doubts? Welcome, Ram, Sunil, Pradeep, Shiva, Mustafa. Yeah. Yeah, three sessions are left. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Three sessions are left. Okay, Mustafa. Again, thanks to all of you. Meet you on Monday.